What happens if I apply to medical school and I don't get in? I've been in your shoes. It took me 2 years of applying to get an interview. It comes down to luck and God's blessing. Don't just do the minimum. Don't just become average. Become above average. This could be because you did not practice enough. You did not prepare hard enough, and you don't become lazy at the last second. And I have many days where I feel like quitting and giving up. All right, so I didn't find anything out there. I just remember I saw a bald eagle out from my house. From the house I'm staying at out there. I was looking, maybe there's something that I caught, but there isn't. So what I'm gonna do here is just do some warm-up drills, warm up the body, and then I'm gonna sprint, and then later I have to do some grocery shopping. But the purpose of this video is to talk about, to those of you who are wondering, what happens if I apply to medical school and I don't get in? What happens if I do the interviews and I don't make it through, I don't get accepted? Or what if I don't get any interviews? And so I made a video like this similar. I'm gonna kind of repeat and maybe add some different things into the mix, but overall it's just kind of a reminder about the same things that I talked about in a video 2 years ago. So first I gotta do warm up. All right, I did my warm up a little bit out of breath. Just kind of gathering it before I go for a sprint. But I wanted to start off by saying that I've been in your shoes. It took me 2 years of applying to get an interview, and then I got into medical school because fortunately I did well. But I know people who've applied 4 years in a row. I've heard of people who've applied 8 years in a row in order to get to med school, and sometimes they don't even get in because it's so competitive, and everyone is pretty much qualified to get into medical school. So it becomes very challenging to really differentiate who's unique or who should be accepted. Honestly, it comes down to luck and God's blessing. I've shared my story before and I can repeat it in future videos, but I felt really blessed by God to be in the position that I am, as difficult as it is. And I have many days where I feel like quitting and giving up. So that takes us to the first point, which is you have to have a strong mindset. And that's regardless if you didn't get an interview, or maybe you did and then you got rejected, you didn't get the answer that you wanted to, you have to remain strong. Because if you really want to go and become a doctor, then you have to apply year after year. You have to continually be improving yourself in whatever field you're in. And if you're working, continue doing that really well. If you're volunteering, do that. Maybe add on 1 or 2 things if your time allows for it, if your schedule is open to that, to get to increase your skills, diversify your skills, and get to network with people. And so having a strong mind is key, because you're going to want to give up. And every successful person has failed many times, right? Elon Musk blew up a couple of the rockets, or many of his rockets, before he was able to finally get one that self-lands. And in doing so, he burned through millions, if not billions of dollars. For us who are not as rich and don't have those kind of expectations, we burn through time, we burn through effort. You put in that effort, sometimes it doesn't pay off, you don't get that test, you don't do well in the interview, but you still have time and you can repeat, you can continue improving yourself and do something that you enjoy. Maybe it earns you money because you got to pay the bills, but it's double-sided and you want to continue to improve that aspect. So first point, strong mindset, don't give up. I'm here to cheer you on. I know what it feels like to be rejected, and it sucks, but it's not the end. There's still hope. Before we talk about the second point, I am gonna go over here, actually I need to grab my water bottle, and prepare to run. Let's do a quick sprint, 40 meters or so. Gonna guesstimate that, do some more talking. Sprinting is really hard, and I actually don't enjoy it that much because it's really hard on the lungs and the legs. I did some sprinting back in grade 6, and I was pretty good at it at that time, but stopped. And I decided to pick it back up because pushing through the hard things in life make everything else a little bit easier. And I've been in a slump recently, doing a lot of studying, really not feeling motivated, and I need to get back into pushing myself and doing hard things. And so sprinting is one of those things that you push yourself to the max for a short period of time. It uses your mind and your body, and then you're sore for the next couple of days, but it's really good for your mind, your health, your physical health, and it burns fat. And so I want all of that. I want all those bonuses. So let's go. All right, so the third point I wanted to make is that one of the reasons why people don't get in is it's just this checkbox mentality, right? We look at the criteria to get into medical school and we check it off. We check off, okay, I have a 3.8, 3.9 GPA. I have an MCAT score that's decent. I have my reference letters. But we forget to actually strive to do better, to differentiate ourselves from other people. Because if you just do the checkbox mentality, then you reach the minimum. You reach the average. And there's so many people that have the same thing. So when you get an interview, if you get one, then how are you going to be unique in that interview, right? So it's important that you go above and beyond. You get the minimum. You get the minimum requirements, the basic things, but then what kind of extracurriculars are you doing to improve yourself? Do you have a job? Are you doing the best? Are you developing something? Are you starting your own job? Do you have hobbies? Are you contributing to your community? Are you growing and reflecting? Are you growing spiritually, mentally, physically? Are you working out? Are you healthy? Like, are you advocating for something? So try to think of different areas in your life and how you can improve and do better. Don't just do the minimum. Don't just become average, become above average. And that's really easy nowadays because so many people just want to reach the average. They just want to chill and watch social media. They want to do nothing. They want to watch Netflix, right? That cannot be you. You can definitely create time to relax. And if you have a schedule, definitely schedule in relaxing time. But if you want to become a doctor, if you want to do anything and be successful in life, and always strive to be the best person in the room, or at least be the best person you can be at that moment, all right? And going off of what I just said, the fourth point, I gotta be careful here because there's a lot of landmines thanks to these geese here, is that obviously one of the reasons why people don't get into med school, don't get accepted, don't even get an interview really, is they have inadequate scores. They don't have the right GPA, they don't have the MCAT, and you have to really know which schools you're gonna apply to. And so might as well tag along point number 5 is you have to apply to the right schools. If you're from Toronto and you're applying to Sudbury at Nossum, you're probably not going to get in just because they're looking for people from the north that are going to stay in that region, right? If you're applying to Mac but your car score is really low, it's not even the 125, whatever it has to be, then you're probably not going to get an interview. So make sure that the scores you have are adequate enough for the school you want to apply to, right? Ottawa has a high GPA standard, but it doesn't have an MCAT. So you can definitely apply to Ottawa because they don't even look at it, all right? So apply to the right schools, have the good scores, and continue improving yourself. And let's go on to point number 6. All right, the last point, and then I'll add some bonus things and kind of touch up some of the last points there, is that this is for those of you that got an interview, but maybe you just found out that you're rejected and you're not going to medical school this year, okay? You might have done everything right up until the interview point. You had the GPA, you had the MCAT, you made yourself unique, you got your foot in the door by doing an interview, but then they didn't accept you. And this could be because you did not practice enough. You did not prepare hard enough. And for those of you that in the future are going to get an interview, make sure that when you do get it and you really want medical school, like this is something that you're still gonna go, you want to do, make sure that you prepare hard, that you get all the basic questions, that you learn more about the school and the program. You can answer and ask questions about it, okay? And you want to have conversations during your interview, because this is the last point, right? So you want to make sure that you've been giving 100% throughout all of undergrad, throughout your application season, and now your interview. So make sure you don't become lazy at the last second. I've shared this before in a previous video. When I actually gave up on pursuing medicine. I was like, you know what? I don't even care if I get an interview. And then I got one, and I was like, well, I mean, I'll give it my best shot. If God opens the door, I'll go through it. If he doesn't, then so be it. And what happened is I prepared the best I could. I did well, and I ended up going to medical school. Now I'm in third year here riding a one wheel at the province's highest security hospital. And so to tie all that together, no matter where you're at, maybe you didn't get an interview or you just got rejected from an interview, what's important is that you take time and reflect on your application. How did you answer your questions? How can you improve yourself? I've talked to a student, actually, he's in medical school right now. He interviewed 3 times, and you can only interview 3 times at Ottawa. And on the 3rd time he got in. I jumped on a call, I answered some of his questions. I can't really do coaching. It's not really necessarily that I know what to say. It's just that I listened to his answers and I gave some feedback, and he obviously did his homework and he got in. So just because you fail does not mean that it's impossible. So don't give up. Keep at it. Keep improving yourself. Go deep into your passion so that you can become an expert, and that passion can exude during your interview. All right, so let's go up the road, and from a distance I'll show you one of the prison just down the road here. Are you applying? Did you do an interview? Are you waiting for interview response? There's some people behind me. I'm still have some stage fright of vlogging in front of people. Let me know down in the comments, ask your questions, follow me on Instagram. I truly do reply to every message for now, and I'll do my best to help you out.